The year's 2015 and 18-year-old me has just begun to write comic books. Only the first issue to my supernatural graphic novel series, Seasons, which I would successfully crowdfund on Kickstarter 2 years later in the form of a 100-plus page hardcover graphic novel, Seasons Volume 1 Spring, raising over $6,500 in the process, had been scripted. With only a fairly basic, somewhat rough idea of how comic book scripts were written, and with technically no experience at all when it came to how to write a story, let alone a good story with a coherent beginning, middle, and end, I decided to enter the first ever Miller World Annual Talent Search. Winners of the Talent Search will get their story published in Miller World Annual, releasing the next year, as well as get paid Marvel and DC starter rates. Put on by superstar Scottish writer Mark Millar, or Miller, depending on who you ask, writer of best-selling comics such as Civil War, Old Man Logan, Kick-Ass, Wanted, and more. This was an opportunity for 18-year-old Nandor Fox Schaefer to show the world he meant business. It didn't matter that he hadn't read a Mark Millar creator-owned comic before. He would seek out the Miller World book he thought would best suit him for the competition. The book I chose was Chrononauts. Before we get to my submission, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to this channel if you haven't, and please give this video a like if you enjoy this content. We're nearly at 250 subscribers, so that's very exciting for me. I hope you guys are enjoying the videos that I've been making recently. I have a lot more ideas in the pipeline. I just need your support. It really helps me to stay motivated. And one more thing, please sign up to be notified when my new comic launches on Kickstarter. We have the official launch date for the book, and we are launching the Fabled offering on October 18th of this year. So we're nearly a month away out from launching this book, and I need your guys' support for this book to happen. Cannot make this book without you. This is a sci-fi fantasy epic about a grand princess who is on a quest to save herself, and she has to make an impossible choice to do so. So please sign up to be notified. This is going to be such a special book to be a part of, and you're going to get in on some day one discounts and some early bird deals if you sign up today. So go and do that. The link is in the description. Chrononauts was a 4-issue miniseries by Mark Millar and Sean Gordon Murphy about two scientific geniuses, Corbin Quinn and Danny Riley, who get up to some time-traveling shenanigans. From what I recall, it was a fun ride about two pretty normal American guys making their way through history. Adventure and action, nothing more, nothing less. It was exactly what it set out to be. The time travel bit had me, and out of the Miller World catalog of titles, it seemed to be one of Millar's more light-hearted books, which is another reason I settled on it. That, and because there were only 4 issues to read, and the book was available at the Barnes & Noble in town. The story I submitted was a 4-page, and I believe the maximum page count allowed was 4 pages, whiplash-inducing, time-hopping escapade that took Corbin and Danny from the first hydrogen bomb test site to a college history class. This is the description of the story I sent to Miller World in my email, along with the signed legal forms and script, minus all of the typos and grammar errors. The story, entitled All the Time in the World, follows Corbin Quinn and Danny Riley as they escape from Danny's ludicrous decision to try and get a tan by witnessing the historical testing of the first hydrogen bomb over the Bikini Atoll in a stolen hot air balloon, then run into Valentina Tereshkova, the first woman in space, during her voyage, and then prove to ignorant students in a college history class that they really are time travelers by taking them to see factual historical events. It's a ridiculously humorous and energetically packed plot that seamlessly flows to make for an exciting adventure that is true to the style of the Chrononauts comics. It'll make you laugh, and you'll seriously experience something I don't think other submitted scripts under the Chrononauts banner will achieve. So besides everything wrong with how I worded this introduction to my script, it was worse, believe me, and the accompanied overconfidence in that last sentence, I can already tell you what my biggest mistake was. There's just too much going on in this short story. Packing all of that in 4 pages? Forget about it. Granted, I don't know why my script was rejected, but if I had to guess, it would have to do with my lack of understanding on how much limited real estate there is on a single comic book page. The opening page itself is an ambitious 10 panels. Yikes. To this day, it's important to me that the reader is given a rich and full experience when reading my comics, but I can see how I accomplished that to a fault. However, looking back and rereading the script for the first time in 8 years, I genuinely like it. Attempting to sunbathe in the blast of a nuclear explosion while riding in a hot air balloon is admittedly ridiculous and far-fetched, but I can appreciate the visual I was going for, and it falls in line with the nature of the Chrononauts title. As the blast hits, Quinn says, "Feel the heat of 500 suns," and Riley replies with the simple, Whoa. Regretting this decision, they time jump without setting proper coordinates and land in the Soviet Vostok 6 space shuttle, meeting Valentina Tereshkova, who, as I said earlier, was the first woman in space. Danny is unaware and tries flirting with her with the cheesy, embarrassing line, "Lovely name, Valentina. Reminds me of that romantic holiday." And she responds in Russian, "Move away, you ugly pig, or I'll..." But Danny doesn't speak Russian. "Hey, what's she saying?" he asks. Corbin takes a slight jab, just that she finds me more attractive. The final 2 pages start out in a college history classroom after Corbin and Danny make their entrance by suddenly landing on top of the professor, knocking him out in a slapstick comedic fashion. The pair end up taking the students to 4 separate events in history, trying to prove that they are in fact legitimate time travelers. There are a few beats here that I think are worth noting and still make me smile after all this time. The first is a conversation between a male student trying to warn the Native Americans in 1478 and apologizing about what's to come, except there's the language barrier once again. Riley tells Quinn, "They don't understand a word that kid's saying. It's probably for the better," Quinn replies. Another scene takes place at the fall of the Berlin Wall on November 9th, 1989. A student says, "This is actually amazing to see." The 4-pager ends with the conversation with Corbin and Danny. "We did something kind of good, didn't we?" "Heck yeah, dude. We have all the time in the world now to be whoever we want, whenever we want. And I say we do the opposite of good next." "You bet. Except this time, I'm calling the shots." And then we cut. A little corny? Yeah. Messy? Definitely. My Chrononauts submission feels more like a greatest hits history lesson than a proper narrative, and for that, I don't think it deserved to have one. I went big when I should have gone small, but I wanted to take advantage of the time travel gimmick to the max, so I understand why I fell for that temptation. I really don't mind cutting my 18-year-old self some slack. Of course, I still would have liked to have been chosen, but I'm glad I gave this competition a shot either way. There was always next year, but I'll save that for another video. What did you think of my Chrononauts submission? If you'd like to read the script in full, you can by subscribing to my newsletter. The link is in the description. Is Chrononauts one of your favorite Mark Millar creations? Did you enter the contest in 2015? Comment below and let's chat. Thanks for watching.